Hey, are you talking about back in the day?
Nah, man. I'm talking about back in the day.
Back in the day. Back in the day. Back in the day. Back in the day.
Tony, thanks for coming in, man.
Thanks for having me.
I appreciate it. I do have one piece of beef with you, though.
We're beefing
Yeah,
already?
we're going to beef real quick. Dude, you're not going to show up in your tracksuit?
Dude, I'm wearing the top half.
The tops have it. When I told Travis that you were coming in, he was like, "Who's Tony?" And I was like, "You know Tony, man." And he was like, "I was like, Tony, dude." And he's like, "Oh, you talking about tracksuit Tony?"
Yeah.
And then you don't show up in the tracksuit?
I'm addicted to them. I have ordered 3 more. And my goal is to have 7 like a Monday tracksuit, a Tuesday track. Dude, I wear this. It's been washed 3 times already. I wear it to bed. I masturbate in it. I fuck everything. I've done everything in the tracksuit. I've been rejected in the tracksuit. I've gotten dates in the tracksuit. The tracksuit is me.
You are the tracksuit is now just Tony, right?
Yeah,
like you just call it the Tony suit.
Yeah.
My question though for you about the tracksuit, if you get 7 of them, is it going to be without a shadow of a doubt? This is my Monday tracksuit,
Yes.
or are you gonna mix them up a little bit and surprise people?
No, I'm not a crazy person.
Okay.
You have to have one for the day. Like Mondays, it's gonna be a black tracksuit to show how bad Mondays are, and then they get brighter throughout the week. So it'll be like a dark blue Tuesday, like a dark red hump day, and then like a nice like retro one for Fridays.
Saturday night's fluorescent.
Oh yeah. It's
Really
gonna
just-
yeah.
There
I'm
you
bringing
go.
it back, baby.
Dude, tracksuits are cool, man.
They're comfortable.
Yeah, and you have the persona that can pull off the tracksuit.
Hey, what's going on?
You know?
Hey,
Like-
hey.
So joining us today is Tony Casillas,
Hello,
stand-up comedian, photographer, filmmaker,
I do everything
2-time Super Bowl champion,
very average.
winning.
I do everything very average. Yes.
How often do you get mistaken for Super Bowl champion Tony Casillas?
So it's always when I do like road gigs at like one-nighters at bars. People like a few times have gotten like, we drove because we thought we were going to see Super Bowl winning Tony Casillas. And I'm like, why the fuck? First off, would he be doing stand-up? He never announced that he's been doing stand-up. And second off, why would he be opening? Why would he be doing like a hosting spot?
And not only that, like, are on these road gigs that you're doing, is there a poster? Is your picture on the poster?
Sometimes, yes.
Okay, so it's like he didn't stop aging, and not only did he not stop aging, did he like turn into like a white dude, right? Like,
Dude, I had a lady. True story. This was in Abilene, at a place called Shenanigans. Turns out the only shenanigans they were doing there was meth. Mm-hmm. Like I was like excited. I was like, this sounds like a fun place. A lady after my set came out, and I bombed hard, like 30 minutes. It sounded like a TED Talk, and it was just bad. She comes out and she just goes, "I hate you." And I go, "What did I do to you?" And she goes, "I drove 3.5 hours to see 2-time Super Bowl winning offensive tackle Tony Casillas do stand-up, and it took me 10 minutes to realize you weren't him." And I was like, it took you 10 minutes to realize I wasn't an athlete in the 90s?
The best part about that though is that Tony Casillas, Super Bowl champion, has a big enough fan base
Yeah.
that he brings people for that long of a drive. Because it's not like he was Troy Aikman.
No.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's not like he was that big of a deal.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
not- he wasn't even Larry Allen. Like,
Yeah.
it's like you're not even like the big time offensive lineman from the team.
He's
You know what I
cool
mean?
though. I shared a bit about I told that story on stage once, and I shared it, and he retweeted it, and he'll now, like, if I have a local show, he'll post it. He'll go, "See comedian version of me do stand up." Like, he's a super
That's cool.
dope guy.
Yeah, I think he lives in Oklahoma. I think he's on the radio in Oklahoma.
No, he lives in Dallas now.
Does he live in Dallas?
Yeah.
Okay. Because if my memory serves me right, I think he's a OU grad. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I think he had a radio show for a little bit in OKC.
Dude, anytime I'm in Oklahoma, I mention we have the same name in it. Fucking
And people just go nuts. Oh my gosh, it's him.
Yeah,
It's his son.
It's his son. I'm like, he would be disappointed. He would be very disappointed if I was his son.
Don't be so hard on yourself, dude. So comedy, you're doing comedy. You're on the road a lot, I see.
No,
you just
yeah.
got back. Where did you come back this past week?
So I did a 14-day run. I did the Looney Bin in Little Rock, and then the week after I did in Tulsa.
What's the difference between those two clubs?
I would say Tulsa, man. No, Tulsa. I feel like they're trained a little bit more to laugh.
Okay.
Like it felt like you could go up there. Well, again, they were already pretty warm by the time I went up. Like it was pretty easy to get into it, and they were like more fun. Like I did a lot of crowd work there. They were a lot more interactive, a lot more fun. Where Little Rock, man, they had to gain your trust, where you had to work for like 10 minutes and build them, and then. Man, I started talking about how I thought everybody in Arkansas like was incestual, and that's when they loved me. Was when I was shitting on them. I was like, "You guys like to fuck each other as cousins and brothers and sisters," and they're all like, "No, we don't." But it's funny.
But that's a good one.
It's funny,
That's
and
a
they
good
loved
one.
that. My favorite one was though where I talk about how, and I did Tulsa, and there was a guy with 3 girls. And I was like, oh, you leave quarantine and you didn't know what girl to take out. And one girl goes, that's my dad. And I go, well, if you look at porn, it still fits. And then the crowd, and then I go, okay, what state is incestual? And the whole audience just goes, Arkansas. Yeah. And I go, well, they said the same shit about y'all last week. So one of y'all is lying.
Yeah, and that's what those cities or those states like that do. They just constantly are turning on each other. And it's the same joke. It's all incest jokes. It's
Yeah.
like, what? Right? Like,
They love it, though, because comedy's honesty.
yeah, for sure. They're like, we do a little stuff down here in
We
Tulsa.
do,
Don't you
yeah,
worry.
yeah,
I
yeah.
did Tulsa Looney Bin a long time ago when I first started doing comedy, because I started comedy in Oklahoma because I went to OU.
Oh, okay.
And so I was probably like 6 months in, and I went to Tulsa at the Looney Bin, and I was doing 5 or 7 minutes, small set. And I didn't have much material. I'm 6 months in it,
Yeah.
right? And I had this my entire set was about doing jokes about how I used to work at Six Flags.
Oh.
And I don't think they knew what Six Flags was. So I was like 30 seconds into my bit,
Yeah.
and they're all just staring at me.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, blank stare, and I'm into this bit. I'm going in on it. It was real physical act outs and stuff. And I just died. Because at that time, I mean, now, if you have a bit that's not going well, you just change.
Yeah.
At that point, it's like, this is what I got.
That's
These are my
all I
jokes,
have.
Tulsa. So that is my experience with Tulsa Looney Bin.
I remember I did a gig with Butch Lord. He hits me up, and I'm maybe a year into comedy. And he goes, hey, man, do you have 20 minutes? And I go, no, kind of like I can hit it, but it's not good. He goes, fuck it, we'll do it. And it goes, it pays $250. I'll take 50 finder's fee. You get 200. I go, okay. And it was at a place in Waco. So we drive there. And if you don't know, Butch Lord, he was my comedy mentor. He's a great guy. But he looks like a homeless pirate. Mm-hmm. And we show up to the gig, and it's this nice country club. Like, I'm talking like the cheapest car, maybe $70,000. Nice country club. And he walks in with a Mountain Dew and Skittles. And he's just like, hey, we're here for the comedy show. You could tell the lady in the front desk was just like, Maggot, the homeless are back. You know, she's like wondering how the fuck we got in. And she's like, no, we're the comedians. So, oh, okay. And she brings us there, and we get there, we sit down, and we found out it was 20 minutes, 100% like G clean, which I didn't have. And he goes,
Yeah.
well, we have an hour. Let's go downstairs at the bar and let's just write. And so we're downstairs at the bar, and I was like, what about this joke? He goes, no, that's too dirty. And he goes, let's just start from scratch. He goes, traffic. He goes, traffic. What's wrong with traffic? It's a pain. We were literally in an hour trying to write 20 minutes of material. And I literally, it was, the headliner was cool though. He was this like old school magician guy. He sees me there, and we go back upstairs. We had written maybe 2 traffic jokes, and I'm just like fucking worried. And just eating food, and he just looks at me and he just goes, so you realized you're not going to win this crowd over, did you? Yeah. And I go, no, sir. And he just goes, all right, how about we do this? You go up there. You do as long as you can, and I'll light you when you're not doing well, and you just bring me up. And I go, that would be great. I got the light at 9.5 minutes. He just lit me. He's like, just bring me up. I'll just fill that extra 10. And he went up. He did like what is it? That wheel, the hypnotist wheel.
Yeah.
And he like won him over, made him think I was funny. It was great. And literally, we went to the guy who booked us. Asked for the check. He goes, how'd your set go? Because he was in another room. And I go, I'm murdered. And he goes, oh, great. And he paid me the check. And then I was like, should we stay to bring him off stage? And Butch was like, no, we got to go or they're going to take this check when they find out. So we literally just left the guy hanging.
I had a gig similar to that a couple of years ago. This lady in my office is a singles pastor. She does a singles ministry. And she was like, will you come do stand-up at our Christmas party? I don't really want to, but I will because you're asking me, and you're going to pay me a decent amount of money. So I'll go do it, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, you've seen my jokes, right? You've seen me do comedy. Are you okay with me doing my normal stuff? And she's like, yeah, of course. No worries, right? Yeah. And I was like, okay. I mean, because you're a church, like, right? Like, that's the church that we're going to go do a church. Like, this is a church gig, right? Yeah. She's like, yeah, it's fine. I was like, you've seen my set. Like, it's not R-rated, but it's PG-13. You want that at your church?
Yeah.
She's like, well, it's not. We're not doing it at the church. And I was like, okay. So ends up, I go to like Grapevine or somewhere like that, and it's at a Haverty's at a furniture store, and I'm like, why is y'all's Christmas party at this furniture store? We go up, real nice ball room area. Everyone there is 55 and up, 60, 65, and they're in like evening gowns, and they look like they're ready for the Grammys or the like whatever, you know, like. And I'm like, what am I gonna do? I'm about to do 30 minutes to this crowd that does not want to see a comedian at all. Yeah. She brings me up, and this is her intro. She's like, there's a guy that's gonna be coming up here. And he's gonna do some comedy for you guys. Yeah. And I think you might enjoy it. Yeah. And then brings me up. And I go, and I've worked with this lady for like 7 years. I'm like, hey, Julia, thanks for the awesome intro. And that's what I talked about. We did a love connection in the crowd. I didn't know what to do. I was like, let's hook you guys up. Right? Let's hook people up. I tried to hook this old couple up. I gave love advice. I said, hey guys, little tip for you guys. I polled the ladies before the show. I asked them, what's the number one thing you're looking for in a man? And their response was, dudes that don't go to singles groups, right? Like, no one is like that's not what chicks are looking for, right? Yeah. And it was just an awful experience.
Shit like that is awful too, because they set you up to lose. Like I did that. I did a Christmas party too at my job. It was the studio I work for. And they're cool people. I love them. They're like, hey, do stand up. I was like, hey, can I bring a buddy to open? He goes, yeah. So I brought my buddy Gage. He went up, did 10 to 15. He did really well. But like they knew me and I knew everyone there. Yeah. So I started doing my act and it was fine. Then I got into more of the sexual stuff and the boss's wife wasn't laughing. So everybody else was not laughing. They would be like, and I was like, 3 of the ladies that were there had seen me do the same set at a club and they're like, oh my God, you're great. You know, but they weren't laughing then. Yeah. And then everybody, dude, I felt like I had some kind of disease. Because after that, I was just hanging out the party, just fucking feeling like shit. And like people would come up to me like, hey, man, don't tell anyone I said this, but I thought you were funny. And I was like, why would you want people to know? Like, that hurts more.
Hey, come over here.
Hey, you filthy bastard.
Don't tell Rick in HR.
Yeah, hey, you sex pervert. But I thought you were funny. I like when you put your nuts in the painted jar.
Man.
Like, I was like, that's not even my bit.
That's Gage's.
Yeah, that's Gage's, but he puts the nut. It's not. Yeah.
It's that type of stuff is you're only doing that for a paycheck.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
Because they didn't even pay me. That was just for a favor, for getting me jobs. That was just a favor, and I felt like shit. And I was just like, it was just bad. And then even my boss was drunk. He goes, man, I just want to say, like, you did great, but like, I should probably say clean it up, man. I'm a want. But then she came up to me. She's like, I thought it was funny. I was like, ma'am, you weren't laughing at all.
I need you to laugh next time you think something's funny.
Yeah, that's the response I need. I don't need judgment.
I don't need you to go,
You know how you bombed in a Christian's eyes when they come up to you and they're just like, bless your heart. Yeah. I'll be praying for you. If they're praying for you, you ate shit.
For sure.
Because if you're successful, they're like, oh, he's already funny. He don't need any extra prayers.
Yeah,
he's got it. He's got the Lord's juice in him. He's got the Lord's funny news.
I did AT&T's Christmas party like last year or the year before, and it was the same thing. It was at a restaurant. They didn't even give me a microphone. I just stood there. They were all standing too. We were all just standing, right? And they wanted me to do 15 minutes, and then they were gonna do something else, and then come back up and do a completely different 15 minutes. And I was like, can I just do 30 minutes? Like, I don't want to, like, stop and then start again, you know, whatever. And before I went on stage before I walked in the center of all of them. Some lady that had been there or a man or someone had been there for like 40 years was retiring.
Yeah.
So everyone came up from his department and did a speech about him.
How great of a
People,
guy he
people
was.
were crying.
Of course, yeah.
The way you got me through these last couple of years, and I'm just like, and now
Jesus.
it's time for some comedy.
Jesus.
I know, and they didn't like any of my jokes. The only things that they liked is I shit on Verizon for the first like 5 minutes and like, yeah. But then when I started doing jokes, they were just like, shut up.
Talk about how Sprint sucks.
Yeah, come on,
Tell
do
us-
some Sprint jokes. Make us laugh,
Oh,
boy.
man. That's
Right?
why, dude, comics, like older comics, when I started, they would tell me, like, man, you gotta get that clean material. You want to do those corporate gigs because that's where the money's in. And at first I took it, but it's like, that's just not how I write. I'm not like filthy, but it's like, I feel like if I'm writing a joke, I like the option to take it anywhere.
Yeah.
And if it goes dirty, it goes dirty. But not each one of my joke goes there. But like, I like the option if that's the best route to take. And that's why, like, I'm not going to tell comics, like, if you want to make that money, fucking do it. Because I've lost money not being able to do gigs. But also, for me, that paycheck just doesn't make me feel good. Like, I didn't get into comedy for the money. Like, when comics are like, man, the money's great. It's like, you're coming into comedy for money? You know? That's like going into real estate because you like grass. It's like, what?
That's like going into real estate because you like stability.
Stability.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know what I
That's
mean?
better
Like
joke.
it's
See,
like
that's a better version.
it doesn't make any sense.
That's like watching porn for the story.
Yeah,
it's like
there you
that. Yeah, watch a fucking Oscar Isaac movie.
Yeah.
Yes. I don't know. It's weird.
So comedy, how long have you been doing comedy now?
I hit my 4 years this summer. Mid quarantine, I hit 4 years.
Nice, dude. Did you do anything big for it? Maybe
I got to
post about it on Instagram.
I got to headline co-headline with Lawrence and Jamie at Dallas High Unit, the club I did my first open mic at.
That's cool, man.
So that was cool. Like, it was like the weekend before I hit my 4-year mark. I got to fucking the place I touched the mic for the first time.
That's cool.
So that was cool.
That's cool. And then you do film stuff too, right? So
Yeah.
you went to film school?
I went to UNT's film school.
Okay. And what kind of led you to that? Is that something that you were doing in high school, like doing that growing up, or?
So I would make like dumb YouTube videos here and there growing up. But like for me, like movies were an escape, like especially when my parents got a divorce. Like that was like a thing. Like me and my dad would bond over. Like when I hung out with dad, we'd go Friday nights. We'd go to in Germany, when we lived in Germany, we'd go on base, go catch a movie, sometimes a double feature. That was just like always like an escape for me, just watching movies. I grew up watching like horror movies, comedies, like, so it was just one of those things I loved. And then I went to Texas State and I dropped out of there because I had no passion. I was doing like some economics degree, something I didn't give a shit about. I'm not even that good at math. And then I moved back home after I dropped out of there, did community college, and I took a photography class, and I was decent at it. I wasn't great, but I was like, I'm figuring, like, I'm interested in learning how to, with this camera and do post. And I was like, photography is cool, but I want to learn how to do like filming.
Yeah.
So I looked it up and I went to UNT and I saw UNT. It was that or UT. And I was like, yeah, UT seems fun. But it just seemed very like strict and just very hard to get in. Like even once you get into the film department, it's tough to like be able to like create your own project.
Yeah.
etc. So I went to Denton, took a tour, and I was like, this place seems creative. This place seems like a fun place to grow your craft. So
And was UT's department, was it really, really big?
yeah, UT's one of the biggest film.
Yeah,
because they have McConaughey that teaches there, and that's like their biggest thing. Like, oh yeah, Matthew
Because
McConaughey.
that's how their theater department is too. Because my degree's in theater, and so I went to OU, and one of my big things was people were like, "How come you went to Oklahoma? Why not look at UT?"
Yeah.
And my response back was, "Well, UT has a grad program, so undergrads don't get opportunities as much. It's a massive program, right? It's a great program. It's a massive program." And then you also are competing against grad schools, grad students.
Yep.
And some of those grad students, they were professional actors for 10 years. And now they're like, well, I'm going to have a baby, So I need to have a more stable job. So why don't I go get my
Degree
master's
real quick,
and so I can go be a professor. And
Yep.
it's like, they're not going to cast a 19-year-old
Yeah.
over this 29-year-old that's got life experience. So was that kind of one of the things that you thought about whenever you
It
chose
just felt,
UNT?
yeah, it felt more hands-on because they had this thing called NTTV where it was like this program at UNT. They did like news stuff where I worked in the news department for a semester. That was fun. I did weather, and they only booked me because they're like, you're not good at doing the weather, but you're funny. So I would just go up. I'd be like, oh, it's Valentine's Day today. It's gonna be raining love. So ladies, watch it. And because no one was watching it, but they were like, oh, you just like make it fun. So I did that. But they also had like me and my buddies Robbie, fuck. His other name is blanking me. I'll mention it. But we created like a sketch comedy show on there, and they're like, literally, you got to film it, and then you got to put it on TV. So you got to do that. I got to act. It was my first time I got to act. We did like this office type spin-off show, so I got to act in that, and then like it was just cool to have these other things outside the classroom to get better at like directing or writing. And then when I actually went to the classroom, I applied those things that I learned, and like I pitched a movie to Short Film Club. That was another thing outside of it where every semester you pitch. Everybody pitches like 40 pitches, and everybody votes on 3 movies to make with a budget and a crew. And like one of my movies got my movie got chose. And I think it was because like I learned how to sell stuff, and like I don't think at UT I would have had those opportunities.
No, those hands-on experiences are so important.
Yeah.
I went to a junior college the first 2 years, and I did theater at that junior college as well, and we had to do everything. And just having to actually create it and actually do stuff, you learn so much more than you would in a classroom. The classroom stuff's important.
Yeah.
You need to learn like the technical stuff and all that, everything. But the actual learning practical things, you can't compare that with anything else.
And this might be even a bad thing to say, but even like working on film kind of made me drop film and made me want to pursue stand-up full-time. Because I remember pitching a movie, then writing the script, then going through all of it, shooting it, and then post. And that's like a 6-month process. And then you finally premiere it. And then you're like, fuck, that joke could have been a little better.
Yeah, and there's nothing you can do at that point.
Yeah, but then you're done. It's already done. Yeah, you could before you submitted to festivals. But like I was already doing stand-up at that time. I started. But then I was like, I don't like that feeling. I like the idea of being able to have an idea, go out that night, try the idea, and then make it better and better. And even when it's done, it's not always done. Like I'm still like on my closer that I've been doing for like a year and a half now. Just so I don't get bored with it, I find, oh shit, I can add a tag here, or I can add a tag here, or take that out. Maybe add this extra story to make it a longer story, and it works. So that's what I like about stand-up over film is like, you get that instant gratification each time. And yeah, sometimes it bombs where film, like if you make a good movie, usually it's always going to be the same.
Yeah.
I like the ability to just go up and fucking do it and see what happens.
Well, in film, you could end up spending a year and a half, 2 years of your life on one project.
Yeah.
And if that project does not go over well, then it's like,
That's why when comics, they're like, I want to get into stand-up, get that TV deal. I'm like, you're nuts. So you're telling me you want to go from like freedom of speech, freedom of being able to do whatever you want, to go have a boss and have fucking 4 writers write you shitty jokes, to fucking Suits being like, you know what would be funny? If they live next to gay people. Yeah. And it's just like, that's not really a joke.
That's just life.
That's just like 2 gay people. But no, they're straight and they're gay.
But next door is an Indian guy married to a white girl, and her daddy don't like it.
Yeah, and it's like, that's not comedy. That's like just slightly, not slight, very racist, NBC. It's just shit like that where I feel like I would go back into film and I think stand-up could lead to that, like you see it with like Bo Burnham. Mm-hmm. Like I have some scripts written, but if I ever get to the point where I have enough of a following, where I'm like, oh, I can make this movie for my following, that they already like me, and then if I can just go in, get a budget, and no one gets to screw with it, then I would take 6 months off of stand-up to go shoot it, edit it, where it's like, okay, I know at least like no one's fingers are going to touch it.
Yeah.
Because I even knew when in the process, like my professor, I pitched this movie called One Tough Cookie. If you want to see it, it's on YouTube. Fun movies, and I purposely casted comics. Like David Jessup's in it, Saffron Herndon's the lead. It's basically about a Girl Scout who has to sell one more box of cookie to this house to get her badge, and the guy is being a dick and won't sell it, so she just stalks him and eventually tortures him. It's like this dark comedy, right? Of a Girl Scout. It's fun, but like I liked working with her because I knew in takes, like I would write down a joke, we would do my joke, but then I would say, hey, how would you do it? And then she would do the take as her, and we'd do that 2 or 3 times. And like half the movie, it's her jokes.
Yeah.
And like to me, and the director, he would be like, or our professor would be like, you don't need the dad character. He's like a different character. It just seems like he's there to bring laughs. It's not like he's adding to the story. And I'm like, yeah, that's the point. I'm trying to have this outside character. He's just there for laughs.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to be an arc. He doesn't have to have like a fulfilling, like he's just a bad dad who's letting this girl torture this old man while he's standing in the room with her. Like, that's funny in itself.
And the cool thing about that is that since you were the writer of that and you have the mentality that you have, it gave those actors the ability to try things out.
Yeah.
Right? I did a musical in between my freshman year of college and sophomore year. It was a summer stock show.
I'm jealous of you, man.
And
I love musicals.
And it was an original piece, so we were the first cast to perform it, right?
Oh, that's cool.
Well, the writer was the director. Mm-hmm. And so you would try something, and he'd be like, well, when I was writing that, that's not exactly how I envisioned it. And it's like, okay, well, cool, but I'm playing the character. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, I get that you wrote the show, but you cast me to play this character. I see it going like this. Am I not going to get to make any choices in this show? Mm-hmm. You know, and that's a hard thing for people that are creators. Like, there's some actors that, cool, just tell me exactly what you want me to do.
Yeah.
Right? But the ones that are really good, they're going to make their own choices, and that's what makes them good. Because hopefully if you go see a play, right, and it's a play that's been around for 25, 30 years, 50 years, whatever, and maybe you've seen that's your favorite play, you've seen it 10 times. Hopefully you're going to see a different version of it every 10 times, right? Like, whoever's playing that lead has changed some things up. Yep. That's what makes live anything different. Same thing with stand-up, right? If I come watch you on a weekend at Hyenas and me and you are working together, I'm hoping that even though maybe your set is the same at all 5 shows, I'm hoping there's some differences on that.
That's what I've been like working on. I got that advice from this headliner where it's just like, he told me, he goes, man, spend the first minute not even doing one of your jokes. Where he goes, just go up there and just feel the room. So like, and like just jokes started writing itself. Yeah. Like this past weekend when I was doing Fort Worth, I would just stand there and just smile awkwardly, just looking at people. And that would get a laugh. And I'm like, I'm just excited to see people in the flesh again. Yeah. It's like, last night I just went to Starbucks, just stood in line. I just went to Starbucks, stood in line, and people were like, oh, can we help you, sir? And I'm like, no, it's just good to be around people again. And it's just like, but that just ability to just sit in that pocket and then just write and then just edit. And then I would ask, like, hey, did anybody lose weight during quarantine? They're like, ooh. And I was like, fuck y'all, you know. Some of us thought the world was ending, you know. So we just gained the weight. And it's like, good on y'all, because now you have 6 packs and all I have is empty Cheeto bags all over my room. But it's like, if I didn't like learn that word to just be free for that first minute, I would have just stuck to my act.
Yeah, and for sure, man. And like that's something that about a year or so ago that, especially when I was doing shows on the road in these like terrible towns for one-nighters, that when I would do my first few minutes, it was all about stuff that I had observed while I was waiting to go up. Right? Like, hey, what did this person do? What did that person do? What did this person do? And I would just sit there and I would wait for something to happen. Yeah. Right? Yeah. Like, I go on the road a lot with Carrie Cooltrip.
I love Carrie. Write that down.
Yeah, he's like, he doesn't even say write down. He's like, he just mimics it.
Just FYI, anybody listening to this, if you're ever feeling depressed or sad and just want to cry laughing, watch Carrie Cooltrip.
Yes.
Like, I saw him for the first time in maybe like 5 months at the Addison Improv sold out show. Me and Arun and Rama were just back of the we were just like, I was in tears. Like, I had to tell Arun, like, I have to leave because people are like looking over at my laugh because I was just, because that dude has a mind of his own.
Well, and he doesn't, like, his jokes are great, but he doesn't even, some of his jokes are just him talking. Like, it's not, you know what I mean?
He's
Like,
just funny.
he had this, we were in Lawton. Have you done the casino at
No,
Lawton?
I was and then
Okay.
yeah, but
So last summer we did Lawton,
yeah.
and he goes, I'm a Class C misdemeanor. Right, like, you know, not that I have a Class C. He messed up. He meant to say I have a Class C misdemeanor, but he goes, I'm a Class C misdemeanor, and everybody in the room, they clinched up.
Yeah.
And so that's what I talked about for the first 45 seconds to a minute.
Yeah.
On stage, and I told him when we were driving back, I was like, hey, did you notice that you said I'm a Class C misdemeanor?
Yeah.
And he goes, no, man, I meant to say I got a class. I said, don't ever change that. I said, that's the joke, man. Because no one says I'm a misdemeanor. Like, people say I'm a felon, right? But no one says I'm a misdemeanor. I'm a misdemeanor.
Yeah.
I was like, that's funny in itself. But we'll go and we'll do these shows in these random towns.
Yeah.
Like, we did Abilene.
Yeah.
We did that same spot in Abilene.
Yeah.
And that's an interesting spot. But it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And we did... Have you done the spot in Tyler that is also the iPhone repair shop?
Rando. He hits me up every fucking month, and I'm just like, no rando. Because you know how I know a gig is bad now? And I've learned to say no to gigs. I used to just be a yes man. And I think now if you say yes too many times, it's going to make you want to quit.
Yeah.
But, like, I knew that gig was bad because every time people post about it, there's never a shot of the audience.
Yeah.
Anytime comics post a gig, right? And this is for the producer, Travis, just to know. If you're like, should I go check out that gig? If all the shots were taken from their stomach up, that is not a good gig to go to. But the ones that are in the back and the fucking comic is white and like, because it's like blurred out or like white wire out, that's a gig you want to go see. If you can't even see the comic on stage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes those are worth it in a way to me.
No.
Yes. And only,
Explain yourself.
Because I like the story. I like the story.
Yeah.
I like the story for like this instance, right? So you and I can
Yeah,
talk
that's
about
true.
it, right?
Yeah.
Or like it can build some material. Now, if no one's there,
That's
it's
the thing.
terrible.
I've done those gigs.
Yeah,
where you
because
show
you
up.
and I, what was it? The Hunts.
It wasn't Huntsville.
Huntsville. I didn't go with you, but I told you about it.
You want to tell me? Can I tell you what happened there? So this guy, fucking, what was the guy's name? Because I've already burnt that bridge. Because I should.
Did you?
What's his name? Fucking
I don't-
Loophole, Loopy Doop. He has like one of these dumb
He
names.
doesn't have a real name.
It's like
not real.
it's like Loopy Doop. And so he tells me he puts up the event, and it's at 7:30. So
Yeah.
I'm like, cool. So we leave Dallas like at 3. We get there at 6. I bring Phil and my buddy Tom Murphy with me, 2 funny comics, Phil Garcia. And Phil like went to college in Huntsville, so he took us to a place to eat. And we're like, we're ready for the show. And we get there and we knock on the door, and the bartender opens up, and we go, hey man, it's 7. Like, we're the show in 30 minutes. He goes, man, we don't open until 8. And I go, well, that's a problem. If the show's at 7:30 and they don't open until 8, that's number one problem. And he goes, wait, there's a show tonight? And I go, yeah, there's a show. And so he goes, the owner will be here by 8:15. So he gets there, and we're like, yeah, man, this guy told us there's a gig here at 7:30. We're supposed to sell tickets at the door. We get a percentage of that plus like $100 up front, all this. And he goes, yeah, he kind of talked to me about it, but he never confirmed it. And I go, And I go, how about we do this? And he goes, well, it's Thursday. We get a decent crowd. How about we do this? We do no ticket charge. And whoever wants to see the show, they can see it, and I'll just front you the 100. And I go, dude, because a lot of bar owners would be like,
Yeah, no, we're not
sorry.
doing that, yeah.
I was like, dude, I appreciate that. And we still did the show, and the show was great. And I even shit-talked the guy who booked me, because I was just like, yeah, man, he kept on flip-flopping. He changed the date on me twice. And then literally, I found out he changed the date and time because of Facebook.
Yeah, I remember.
Because he didn't even tell me. Like, literally, it was supposed to be like the 16th. So we're getting ready for the 16th. And on the 15th, I look, and it says the 17th. And I go, hey, man, what day is it on? He goes, oh, it's the 17th. And I was like, it would have been cool to tell the talent.
for sure,
like,
man.
So, literally, I told the bartender, I was like, yeah, this guy's a quack. Like, I told him everything. And he calls me the next day, and he goes, man, dude, I heard you fucking shit-talked me. to the owner, and I just go, yeah, I did, buddy. And he goes, why would you do that, man? Why would you do that? And I'm like, because you're in Boston trying to book a show in Huntsville, and also you're sending talent out there days the bar's not even open, or times the bar's not even open. You gotta be shit talked a bit. Like, it wasn't an easy. He goes, man, I just don't think it's fair that you did that. Like, that's a revenue stream. And I was like, dude, I'm not trying to hurt your bottom dollar, but, like, if that's a revenue stream, you would think they would treat it a little better.
If it's a revenue stream, you would figure out when the place opens.
Yeah.
That's step one, right? Like, that's step one. Figure out when the place is open. I was supposed to go the next month because what happened is he hit me up to do it the time you did it, and I couldn't do it. So he's like, can you find me another comic? I said, sure. So I hit you up. You were like, yes, I'll go do it. And then I remember I texted you or messaged you or whatever. I was like, hey, how did that go? And you're like, well, let me tell you how it went. So I ended up canceling.
Good.
Like, you were like, just go for the story. It'll be good, right? I was going to go, but I ended up canceling like a couple of weeks before because something happened. Or that's what it was. My daughter's open house was that night. And I was like, I'm going to go to that. And also, I don't care. If this guy doesn't even know
if it was a good gig, he wouldn't care about his daughter.
No.
It was like, if it's a good gig, he would be like, you don't need daddy. Mom's going to be there.
No.
Because we go to the open gig.
No. We go to the open house. Baby, if you listen to this, daddy is going to be at all your open houses. Don't
your
you
daughter's
worry.
a child. If your daughter's listening to this, you are a bad dad.
Hey, in 17 years, when I let you listen to this, daddy went to all your open houses. Mama, if you're listening to this, daddy's going to be at all the open houses. Don't let Tony get me in the doghouse.
They probably see the poster and they're like, when was daddy in shape?
Yeah. They've seen the wedding pictures. They saw. They're like, what's daddy?
When mommy gets pregnant, does daddy get that too?
Yeah. What's funny about that, man, is the other day I was on Instagram and I was just like scrolling through.
Yeah.
And an ad came up or something. It was like some dude with his shirt off, and he was just jacked. And my youngest daughter was like, "Is that you, Daddy?" I was like, "No, not in a long time."
My favorite one of those ads is when it's a Jack guy. He's holding a pizza, and he's holding like a head of lettuce, and he goes, "Which one of these do you think I'm eating?" And I'm just like, and he goes, "The pizza." And I'm like, yeah, you also work out 12 hours a day.
And you're gonna throw it up.
Yeah, you're gonna throw it up, and you're doing steroids.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
Yeah, I eat those pizzas like twice a week, and I do not look like that.
I've never had that happen.
Yeah,
to me, right?
you fool.
Yeah. So you went to film school, right? You said you lived in Germany. How old were you when you lived in Germany? Were you born in Germany?
No, I was born in Lawton, Oklahoma, actually.
Okay.
Military brat, so we moved a lot around. Like, I lived my first 4 years of my life in Lawton. Then we moved outside Olympia, Washington.
Okay.
And then we moved to Syracuse, New York for a while. And then in Kansas. We lived in Kansas City. Kansas.
How old were you when you were in Germany?
I moved when I was right before first grade. So I lived there from like right before first grade to sixth grade.
Was that a big like culture shock for you, or not because you were on the army base?
No, because I lived off base.
Okay.
Because the thing is, my mom's German, so it's like, and my grandparents live in Germany, so we'd go to Germany a lot growing up, like once a year. So I knew the culture, and it was actually cool, man, because like I went to a German public school, like in inner city. Like it's cool out there because like I went to school with like Germans. I went to school with an Iranian girl. Like we had kids from Ghana. We had kids from all over the world in this like little school, and it was honestly, I think, just horizon wide. It was like awesome. Like I would hang out with my Turkish friends, and like I would go, like my mom let me go to the mosque with them one day. I was spending the night, and I got to see that and just like experience different cultures and different religions, where I think here you don't experience it as much.
Yeah.
You know, because like even in like Hispanic culture, it's the same Christianity, but like I got to experience like just different religious cultures and just different. It's a lot more open.
So you were you moved back to the States in sixth grade or seventh grade?
Seventh grade, I moved back. I was in the seventh.
So you were old enough to like really remember how school worked in Germany. What was the big difference?
The only reason I didn't stay, my sister stayed with my mom because my parents got a divorce. Was just I've always been terrible at school, and dude, in Germany, school is tough. Like they don't have multiple choice. They don't have it blew their mind when I was like, yeah, in American school they give you 4 choices to pick from, and they're like, what, that easy?
Yeah.
Like kids were like, that's
One opportunity.
Yeah, what? That's so easy. And it's like literally, if you didn't know an answer, it couldn't just be like, fucking let's go with C for the next 3 choices. And you're gonna hit one of them. It's like you either knew it or you didn't. And I was just never a good test taker. So like I was going through an educational route where it was like, oh, you're probably going to end up in trade school, which is good. Like if I would have stayed out there, you end up like in a more trade school. But then it was like, as a kid told me, like in America, you're going to get to go to college, which now I look at it, oh, so I got to just stack up debt and still learn nothing.
Trade school.
Yeah. Where it's like, oh, college there, it's like, you don't pay for it. The government pays you to go to college or pays you to go to trade school because you're actually learning. And it's like, oh, they're doing something a little bit better out there.
So you moved back to, where did y'all move to?
Shirts, Texas, right outside of San Antonio.
Okay,
South of San Antonio.
like suburb of San Antonio, basically. Yeah. So you moved to the San Antonio area. You're in 7th grade. So I'm assuming what year is that?
That is 2000. So I graduated high school 2013. So let's take back 6 years. That's 2007.
Okay, so you're in Germany while Dirk is killing it.
Yeah.
Is he just...
He's a star. Dude, my opa tells me, like, because he started playing, like... My grandpa's from a small Bavarian built village, but, like, the biggest city is probably, like, 30 miles away from my grandpa's from. Mm-hmm. And, like, that's where Dirk started. Like, my grandpa remembers seeing Dirk play when he was, like, 15, 16. He's like, that's the guy. Like, he's the golden child.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're going through the first finals while you're in Germany.
No,
right?
2007. I was back.
06, they were in the finals?
Was it 06 then? Yeah. Then I think I moved back that summer because I remember being in America. I was like in America. Yeah, we moved back. We were in Florida. We're taking like a little at Disney. He won. We were at Disneyland when he won.
When they lost, they lost that game. They lost that series in 2006.
And 7 they won, right?
They won in 11.
Oh, did they lose 2006?
Yeah. 2006, they were up 2-0. Miami comes back. And
you're right.
Beats them
You're
4 in a
right.
row.
Then I don't remember because I didn't get into basketball until I moved here. That's why I'm thinking of the 11 one.
Yeah, so I'm wondering if he just. I mean, it would be it would be kind of cool to see. Obviously, he's such a legend here.
Yeah.
Right. It would be cool to see. I bet you it's times 100. You know,
they
from
love
there.
him, man.
Yeah.
Just because he's the guy who made it in Germany, and now you're seeing more people. Like we have Kleber here.
Yeah.
And he's good, but like Dirk was like the German who like made a name for himself.
Yeah, and it wasn't as common then, right? I mean, he's kind of, well, and like Detlef Schrempf was also, you know.
Yeah.
There was a few Europeans that were doing big things, but Dirk made it where it was really common, you know. And now you got people like Luka doing good. There's so many players from Europe that are doing big things. So you move back to the States.
Yeah.
Is that a big change when you go to school? Like how
Dude, it was weird because I went from like I was saying, like this inner city school where I'm like friends with like Turkish kids, this girl from Iran. I'm like just learning about different cultures to Shirts, Texas, where it's like it's like what I thought America was, like Texas was. It's just very just the cliques. You see the cheerleaders, you're like, oh, I can't talk to that. You know, it like the stereotypes of television. I felt a lot because I was like a nerdy kid. I'm dealing with my parents' divorce. I was kind of shy. I was very shy actually, and it was like just like this is American school, where it's I didn't fit in really the first year and a half.
Yeah, because that's what I was kind of wondering because
it's different too. Because like in German school, man, you get put in a class with 30 kids, and with those 30 kids, you take most of your classes together. Yeah, your electives you get to choose, but like those electives, you're still taking it with your classmates. Like so, music. Let's say I want to take a music theory class. Like 12 of the kids, I'm in my base 30. I'm taking music theory with, and maybe another class will come into that one as well. But like my maths, my sciences, I'm taking it with those 30 people.
Yeah, it's
and you
almost
become like class 3A. So that becomes like a family. And like we didn't like everybody in 3A, but even if other kids were bullying the kid we didn't like, we'd be like, leave Dominic alone. He's our fucker. Like you can't bully Dominic. So it became like it was like a class, and you never felt alone. Like there was rules. Like if you're having a party, try to involve everybody. Like
It was kind of like you were in a small town inside of a school, like right? Like it was like your own little small.
Yeah.
Everyone was their own
And they
small
did a
town
thing
school.
that's wild, that blows my mind, still to this day. Every Monday morning, we'd come into class, and they would spend the first 45 minutes. We'd sit in a circle. A kid would like be assigned a presentation, so you'd show like your favorite music, da da da. And then afterwards, we'd spend 20 minutes. Do you have any complaints about the past week on former students? And he'd be like, oh, that kid pushed me and it made me feel bad. And they, instead of being like, why'd you push him? You're fucking go to detention. They'd be like, why'd you push him? Well, he said this to me and that made me mad. And he goes, how could you have, they built it like, let's learn how to figure out our problems. Let's talk out our problems. And it blows my mind. We're here and moved back to American school. And it's like, he kicked me. Go to the fucking detention.
We're not gonna talk about anything. We're just gonna handle it.
Yeah.
By everyone gets disciplined. Let's move on.
So that was my biggest thing, was like, I just didn't feel like every class there were different people. And I was just like, man, this feels weird.
How did kids? Okay, so I remember. I mean, obviously you weren't a foreign exchange student. You were an American.
Yeah, but I got called Nazi.
Yeah,
fucking
that's what I was wondering. Like, I remember when I was growing up. I grew up in the Metroplex, and I'm a bit older than you, but I grew up in the Metroplex, and I remember when we would have like international students come. It was one way or the other. It was either that kid was like the coolest kid,
most popular
kid.
kid.
Like, oh my god, you're so exotic, right?
Yeah.
Like, or it was like, let's shit on this kid
Forever.
Yeah.
And mine was, dude, I remember, and this shows the education. It was in history class, and we were going over World War II, and my teacher picked on me, and he just goes, hey, tell us what your people did. And I just go, huh? And he goes, tell us. And I got in trouble a little bit because I go, yeah, what we did was horrific. But at least in German school, like in the first grade, they showed us footage of the Holocaust. And they showed us, like, look at the terrible stuff we have. And instead, in America, we show the atomic bombs where we bomb civilians, and we praise it.
Yeah, and we're proud about it. We're pumping our chest.
We're like, yeah, we threw some atom bombs on some civilians. Isn't that great? And he did not like that. He goes, it had to be done. And I go, in a way, Hitler said it had to be done too, didn't it?
Yeah.
And he did not like that answer. And he called my dad. And my dad's like, well, we had to do it, and it was wrong. And I was like, no. But like literally, one of my teachers asked me to do a book report on Mein Kampf.
Oh, nice.
Because she goes, I would just like to hear a German's perspective. And I was like, I'll tell it to you now. It's not a good book. It's gibberish. It's a fucking nutcase in a prison cell.
13.
Yeah,
Why are you
and I'm
making
also, and she thought, but your mom's German. Didn't she have to read it? No, she's 40 at the time. No, like by the time the war was over, Hitler was denounced. The swastikas are gone. Like my grandma actually kicked out a Nazi out of her house. Like she burnt my grandma, my Oma. She had a guy staying at her farmhouse because they had farming. They would rent out a room to make extra money. And one day she goes in to clean it, and he has like signed pictures of Hitler. He has flags. He has all this shit. My grandma, when she was a kid, she tells me a story. She was like 5 or 6. They went through her town because the Germans did, and they would shoot at the houses because they're like, if there are people there, they're traitors, and they haven't sent their kids or they're not fighting a war. So my grandma remembers the time where she's in the wine cellar and a bullet flies past her head. So she's not pro-Nazi. She's like anti all that. Like the regime, she remembers one day she got this guy's shit out while he was gone, put it in the front yard, and just burnt it. And she burnt it. And she goes, yeah. And he comes back and she's like, what the fuck? You burned my shit. It's like, get the fuck out. I was like, you could have sold that for millions of dollars. And she's like, I don't want Nazi money. She goes, I don't need that.
Yeah. Because what year were your grandparents? How old were they during World War II? Were they?
My grandparents, my grandpa was 5 or 6 when it ended. Grandma's roughly the same. I think like 4 or 5.
So they probably have vague memories.
My grandpa tells me a story. My opa tells me a story. He remembers. And it's the house that they've lived in for most of their life. They just built a new house literally next door on a plot of land. They sold all their farmland and stuff. Where the Germans were coming to the mountains because the Americans were like coming into Germany. And the Americans asked my great-grandfather, they're like, hey, can we set up tanks and artillery on your land because you have the biggest land here, and we're going to try to defend your city? And my great-grandfather was like, sure, go ahead. and the Germans were bombing the city. My grandpa's in the basement crying. He remembers an African-American soldier coming down, handing him a Hershey's bar, and then the little German he knows, he just goes, "Don't worry, we shoot next." And then he could feel the Americans shooting from their land, and it made the Germans retreat. So my Opa and Oma have always had respect for the military, the U.S. military, because they're like, oh, they saved us from this fascist group.
And hey, asshole kids or asshole teacher.
Yeah.
My dad is in the military.
Yeah.
Right?
U.S. and it's just like, dude, it's just shit like that where you, like, moving back, you just learn, man, kids here have this one perspective and this one idea, and it's just like they hold it. Like, dude, I tell this all the time, and I don't want to get too but like the Tulsa race riot, the Tulsa race war, where we live in Texas, where Oklahoma's right next door.
4 hours away from Tulsa.
Yeah, we live, and I didn't learn about that until last year on Watchmen, a TV show about superhero.
Yeah.
I didn't learn about that. It's like, why aren't we teaching that in our school systems? Where it's like, I feel like America, we love to beat our chest, and I love this country. I'm not gonna shit. I'm not one of these like liberal kids where I'm like, man, I'm just gonna move to Canada, because I really love America and I love what America brings. But it's like, we need to start looking at ourselves in the mirror and looking at ourselves honestly, because I feel like that's when we bring change.
Yeah, well, that's with anything. You're right. You can't only talk about the good things you've done, and that's in anything in life.
Yeah.
Right? Like even when you're looking at your sets, you're trying to get your sets better.
Yeah.
You're not gonna just be like, well, I only talk about these jokes that I kill on.
And I gotta ask you, that's when I knew I'm not gonna like a comic. Is if I watch them, I will test out a comic. Is if I watch them and they bomb, and I ask them like, hey man, I was outside, how'd you do? And they go, I murdered. I instantly know in the back of my mind, like, oh, we're not gonna be cool.
Yeah.
Cause like I just need someone like everybody bombs. Everybody.
Of course.
I just want that honesty. If you look at me, it's like, man, shit, man, that set was rough. I'm like, fuck it. We'll roast each other a little bit and be like, oh, you really thought that fucking, vibrator joke was gonna work? No, you idiot. But then I'll be like, oh, fuck, you're a comic. But like, if a comic, I know they bombed and I ask them and they say, no, man, I crushed. I literally know, like, we're not gonna be cool. And I don't want to be around you because I need someone to tell me if I eat shit, be like, yo, what happened? Because I've had people where I eat shit and I'm feeling like shit. And they're like, dude, what are you talking about? That was good. And I'm like, maybe for your standards, because I got one chuckle 8 minutes in. But for me, that was awful.
Well, and I don't like it the other way either. Like, right, where like someone gets off stage and obviously they had a great set. And you're like, hey, man, that was a really good set, dude. And it's like, win some, you lose some, right? It's peaks and valleys. Just say thank you and move on. Like, some people can't take compliments.
That's me.
I used to have this at work. I had this coworker of mine, and she would do really well in sales, right? And like people would come up to me and be like, "Hey, you had a really good month," and she's like, "You win some, you lose some." Like, just say thank you,
yeah.
Like, right? Like you don't have to like.
I had to learn to do that because like sometimes I'll feel iffy about a set, like because one joke didn't work, and audience members will be like, "Man, that was good." And I'll just be like, I could have been. And, like, I had to literally teach myself. Because, like, these people don't know that you bombed. They just remember the good parts.
Exactly.
Like, oh, they forgot about the joke that you made them feel something. And they're remembering you. By seeing you, they're remembering joy. So I had to learn. That was a process for me to be just like, oh, thank you. I'm glad you came out. Fucking. But
be realistic is kind of my whole thing with it. Just be realistic on both ends. Don't think that you're a murderer if you had a bad set. Because, like you said, everybody has a bad set.
Yeah, it's just like, be honest. Because my thing is like, if you can't be honest with how your set went, how are you going to be honest in your material?
Yeah, and you've worked enough club weekends, right, where you've seen even the headliner,
dude,
have bad sets, right? Like, there's been times.
Eric Myers, he's a comic and he's genius, right? He would come open mics if he was in town Wednesday nights. He would make 20 people feel like a sold out room. Because he would kill that hard. And then I would see him do like a late Friday Plano show back when Plano was rough. And those same jokes, crickets. And like that's when I realized, oh, even this guy who's a fucking genius is struggling. So it's okay that my set didn't do well.
Yeah, it happens for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I've never really understand people that are like that, right? Like, it makes no sense at all. So you're going through life back in Texas, right? What's the difference? So in Germany, are they obsessed with the standardized test? Are you doing any of that type of stuff in Germany?
So what you do is you hit like 5th grade, and then they look at your grades, and they're like, okay, here are the kids that are good at school. They're probably gonna go to this. We're gonna take them to this school where it's a little higher education, kind of like AP-ish. And then there's like the middle class and then the low class where it's like more focused. You still take your English as math, but then like for your electives, it's like mechanics, or it's like woodwork, or it's like more hands-on stuff. But let's say you're 5th grade and you're like a parent and you're like, oh, he just haven't found himself. You can obviously go against the grain and say, no, I want to put my kid in this school. And they'll be like, okay. But it's just like you get put in a placement where it's like at an early age, they're like, man, he doesn't read or write. It's like he has troubles focusing. He's more hands-on. So let's put him in more hands-on things. Let's learn him. And for me, I got put in the middle. And it's like, I learned a lot of hands-on stuff. And that's where I was better at. So it's more, there's no standardized test where it's like, oh, you take this test, you put in a percentile. It's more like, hey, let's see what let's try to work with you.
Yeah. So you get over here, and now it's more back to this one-size-fits-all education that we do.
But it's bullshit because I passed it. It's like, dude, studying for the STARS test is the easiest thing.
Yeah.
It's like literally you remember the questions, you take the pre-STARS test, the same one you take 6 months later, so just remember the answers, and you're good. It's all,
It was called the TOS test when I was in school, right? It was called TOS, and then
it
they
went
changed
task.
So, right, so
And then STAR.
Yeah, so we were at TOS test, and all of our life, they told us, you finish 10th grade, TOS test, you're done. No more of these standardized tests. And then my junior year, they changed it to the tax test, and now it was your junior year that it was. But our junior year, they were using us as like the test dummies, right?
Yeah.
They wanted to see like what questions can we do. And I remember we just kind of revolted, like they were like, because it didn't count.
No.
So it's like, this is the dumbest thing that you're going to try to get 17-year-olds to take something seriously that doesn't count. So I remember one of my buddies on the essay just wrote, I already passed the TOS test and turned it in.
Also, why aren't you making kids take like the SAT? Like, do that in high school. I would be cool with that.
Teach the SAT, because when I got the SAT...
I took it 3 times just to get a decent grade.
It was demoralizing.
Yeah. Teach the SAT.
Yeah, if that's what you're going to make me do to go to the next level, why are we not talking about that?
Let's just take SATs over and over, and you get to keep those scores, and let's teach that. Dude, the craziest standardized test, though, in Texas, I don't know if it's in other states, was the workout test. Did you guys ever have to do that? In ours, man, they were like, man, Texas is getting kind of fat. So you know what we're going to do? We're just going to demoralize the fat kids. And they would have a day set out where you would get in your clothes, your gym clothes. They would make you do push-ups, sit-ups, agility shit.
I remember that.
And it's just like, my thing is just like, can't you just go in the room, look at me, and be like, oh, he's not in shape?
Yeah.
Like, why did you have to put me in front of my entire class and be like, let's see how many sit-ups, Tony? And they would always pair you up with an in-shape person just to be like, this could be you.
Yeah, and it's like, can I just tell you that I can't run a mile? Like,
dude, the most demoralizing was, so they would put us in rounds to do laps. They would put us, like, 5 kids, you do your fucking laps, and the rest of the class would sit on the bleachers. And I'm a fat kid. I was big. I'm a fat kid. And these skinny kids are just lapping me. I was the only fat kid, right? So what the coaches would do is like, hey, you guys, I know you guys are done, but like run with Tony, cheer him on. Like I felt like one of those videos, you know, of the disabled kid scoring a touchdown where they're just like, you can do it, buddy. And I'm like, no, like let me just finish. You don't have to slow down for me.
They're letting you lean on you.
Yeah, they're like pulling, come on, you can do. It's like in like TV and stuff, it looks like, oh, look, man, we're championing him. No, you're not. You're making me feel like a bigger piece of, because they're cheering me on. It's like, you know, there's nothing to be proud of on a 14-minute mile. No. Like, no one should be fucking, good for you, man. You did it. 14 minutes. You should be like, hey, man, maybe it's time to lose weight. Like, or don't make me do it. Yeah. Just be like, this kid is fat. Let's teach, maybe don't serve fucking pizza for breakfast in the cafeteria, or let me get fucking cheese sticks and 3 hamburgers for lunch. Maybe have a cutoff.
Maybe let's not have 14 different groups having Otis Spunkmeyer cookie. Let's not all do the same fundraiser, because I'm gonna buy them all, and I can't stop. All right?
Yeah. I'm gonna buy him the cafeteria. Literally, every day, I would get cheese sticks, which were just tortilla with mozzarella cheese in them. They would cut them up. It was delicious. 2 chicken burgers with cheese sauce. It's like, maybe don't serve that. How about for lunch, serve a little meat, a little greens, and a salad, and maybe I wouldn't have to embarrass myself once a year. Dude, it was bad. I would try to get out of it, but it's like if you get out of it, you have to take it a different day, and that makes it even worse. Like, I was just like, why can't, like, we're just bullying.
Yeah. So, like, growing up, did you play any sports at all?
Oh, yeah. My dad wanted me to be an athlete.
He was into it? Was he an athlete himself? Or?
Yeah, he played, like, my dad's a military guy. Went to West Point, but, like, growing up, my grandpa put him in, like, baseball. My dad was in a lot of stuff, football, you know. And I remember moving back, because I did Little League baseball in Germany.
Okay.
And I was never good. I was always the kid. They would put me on the left field, you know, because the ball barely gets out there. I remember one game, I had Lego figures, Star Wars Lego figures in my pocket. And I'd just be like, Charlie Small, what are you doing here? And a ball literally just flew past my head. And my coach was like, what are you doing? And I'd throw my Lego figures, fucking throw it back. And I was, like, always bad. Like, I got a participation trophy every year. Like, this guy, I knew I was bad because they would always go, this guy has spirit. This guy is the best spirit. I'm like, I don't even have that.
I hate being.
Yeah, I don't have spirit. I'm not cheering people on. I'm like, fucking Gary got another homework. Nice bragging on the home run, Gary. You need 30 this year? How about you distribute them to us? If you know.
Slow down, Gary.
Yeah, on that scholarship, Gary. But one game I remember, we were the Giants who were playing the Yankees, and even in Little League, it's weird. They always put the best players on the Yankees. They just remember, like, this is the team. And my coach, it was the last game of the year, he goes, fuck it, let's put Tony in shortstop. And I was excited because I was actually getting a chance.
Yeah, you're going to get some balls hit to you, right?
And I remember the first play was the ball came straight to me. I threw it to second, got the guy out on second, and that guy threw it to first. We got a double play. Like, I caused a double play. Then the next one, the ball flew straight to me, and I caught it. So I got, like, 3 out, and I was like, fucking hey. Like, and they're like, wow, Tony's actually fucking doing some stuff out there. And then the rest of the game was awful. But I was like, oh, if you would actually, earlier in the season, like, put me in.
Yeah, maybe I could develop some stuff here, right?
Yeah, and learn.
So this brings me kind of to, like, our topic that I'm going to go over with a lot of people for this season is the podcast is called Back in the Day, right? We talk about everything that you've done back in your day, like kind of what made you become who you are.
Yeah.
And this season I'm focusing on what's your greatest athletic achievement?
I would say bowling.
Bowling?
Yeah.
Okay, tell me about it, man.
So
you been bowling growing up?
Yeah, man. I bowled back in Germany when I lived in Germany. Like, we went bowling a lot, and we had I'm out bowling ball and all that. And then I joined Saturday leagues. Every Saturday, I'd go bowling, and I was pretty decent. Like, as a kid, first, second grade, I was averaging like 150, 160 a game. And then I moved back to the States, and I really didn't get back into bowling until like 8th or 9th grade. And I went on base again, and I joined a Saturday league there. And then our junior year of high school, our high school got a bowling team. And I would bowl. I was bowling Mondays, Wednesdays with the team, with our high school team, Monday and Wednesdays. And then either me and my friends would either go bowling Tuesdays or Thursdays. And then we had Saturday leagues, and then we had tournaments. So I was bowling like 4 or 5 times a week. And we were pretty good, man. Our first year as a bowling team, we made it to state in Houston.
Nice.
So
who's coming to these bowling events, like the tournaments? Are other kids coming cheering you on? Just mom and dad? Just maybe aunt?
Our football team that year and junior year went like 0-14. We were all, and they were like always pack stands, always. And I'm just like,
next week we'll get them, right?
And I'm just like, I would be in class, be like, they would show highlight reels on the TV, being like, look at our football team highlight reels. I'm like, you literally had to find all the highlights to fill 2 minutes. I would be like, we're going to district next week. And they're like, for what? I'm like, bowling. And these girls would be like, oh, we have a bowling team? And I'm like, yeah, we're actually fucking winning. We actually beat Judson. You know the team that beat y'all fucking 52-0? We beat them. We won 3 out of the 4 matches. We destroyed them. And they're like, and we didn't even get a pep rally. They would send off the tennis team. I'm like, who the fuck gives about tennis? The tennis team would get a send off. The golf team. You know who golfs? Bowlers. It's the same fucking sport.
It's the same kids.
It's the same.
We're the same kids. Can we get something?
Yeah, dude, nothing. Like we went to state. We went to Houston. We didn't do great in state, but we went. We survived. We did our thing.
Was bowling UIL?
Yeah.
So there was a
We would
UIL
play,
team?
dude. It's huge. Like I remember I got a partial scholarship offer to West Texas A&M, and
I know West Texas.
yeah, and I literally looked up the school where it was at, and I was just like, I'm not good enough to become a professional bowler, so I'm not gonna go spend my greatest 4 years of my life
In Canyon, Texas.
in
Did
the
you
middle
go
of
visit?
nowhere. No, I wanted to, but
Man.
then
I went to junior college in West Texas, and after the 2 years they offered me a scholarship. And I didn't go visit for that because I wasn't going to go there. But the girl that I dated in college, at my junior college, that's where she went after we left.
yeah.
And it's a town, man.
It's
There's-
not fun.
There's people that live there.
That's the
why
thing.
there's
Yeah,
some
and it's
people
like I don't want to live in that town's
to bowl.
bowling alley.
Right? Like, yeah, like
Imagine, like, people don't know. San Antonio's big, but we would practice at this bowling alley. So I'd be around just people, like, indoor smoking.
I was
just-
gonna ask you, did they force you to smoke? Was that a requirement?
Dude, it was
on the
close. There would just be old people like, look at that boy's legs. I'm like, you should not be talking about boys like that, sir. You look like a pervert. Like you look disgusting. They're like, man, that guy got a good, you got a good bending
team?
ability.
What's the high score on the bowling?
My high
highest?
score, man? It was 289. I was one strike away from a 300.
Nice.
289, and yeah, that was a tough break. I got 11 in a row, and then fucking,
Was the last one?
No, it was 10. I got 10 in a row. They get one more strike. I got a 9, and I was like, fuck, 289. It's tough.
Yeah, you're off the team, Casillas.
No,
Don't you? You know, you had it. You had your opportunity. You're done.
it was fun though, man. Like I think if I took it a little bit more serious, because like to me, I was like, you can't really go pro in bowling, which you can.
There's some guys.
There's
that do
some
it, man. They
a
make
lot
good
of
money.
guys they make pretty good money, and it's like if I would have put a little bit more effort, like I ordered some bowling balls because my old equipment doesn't like. I kind of want to go back. Like I kind of want to join a weekly league.
What was the training like? Did you guys do any type of? I mean, all you do is bowl.
No, you do. So you do kind of like curls. You do like sit up because you have to have a good core because you have
Yeah,
to bend
'cause
down. You have to be able to bend down, keep your. So you do. What is it when you walk and then you bend? What's it called? You kind of like walk and then you bend on a knee and then get back up.
Oh, lunges.
Lunges. We did lunges and stuff like that, but mainly bowling. But like you still have to do workout. They would recommend you go like lift. So you're throwing a 15-pound ball.
Yeah, you gotta have a little strength.
Especially if you want speed, like literally they would be like, go lift to get that extra speed because you want to
Yeah.
throw the ball like a good bowler. Because I was throwing it 14 to 15 miles an hour. They're like, if you want to have a chance to go pro, you have to be able to throw a 15 or 16-pound ball 18 to 20.
Okay.
So I was going to have to, I was going to have to gain, and then you have to have control, be able to spin it. It's a whole thing. But I got my Letterman in bowling. Actually, I got my first patch in Letterman being the soccer videographer.
Nice.
Literally, I tried out for soccer. I almost said audition. That's how bad
Yeah,
I
there
am
you
at sports. I
got called back.
yeah, I was a huge soccer fan. I was like, fuck, come on, I have German blood in me. I could do it, but I'm still a fat fuck. Like, there's healthy people in them, you know?
Yeah.
I was like, oh, the German will kick in and I'll just score a goal, a hat trick. And I go, and it was like the first day of tryouts, and it was just running laps. And the Coach Wong, he was a Hispanic guy named Coach Wong, and I was like, that doesn't make sense,
is
but I'll tell you.
confusing as all
But he
get
was the
out.
greatest, man. I love Coach Wong. And he just goes, man, I talked to you, and it seems like you know a lot about soccer. And I go, it's my favorite sport. And he goes, do you know how to turn a camera on and off? And I go, yeah. And he goes, how about you become like the videographer? You just gonna travel with us? You're gonna leave school, fucking go to tournaments? And I was like, I could do that. So I would take the soccer credit. Literally, if I wanted to leave, I could just leave.
Yeah.
I would just leave. I started working out. I actually got in shape that year because I would like work out by myself in the gym and all that. And then I would just leave. I'd be like, bye, Coach Ron. He's like, hey, be safe. Don't get caught. And I was like, cool, man. And get to travel, get out of class. People were like, where are you going? I'm like, I'm on the soccer team. They're like, you're on it? I'm like, kinda.
And that was the start, man.
Yeah.
That's what made you become film major. Right there.
Yeah,
Coach
yeah.
Wong.
Coach
You know what I
Wong.
mean?
Yeah.
If you ever win some kind of award,
Oh,
you're
yeah.
just going to have to give it out to Coach Wong. Hey, Coach Wong, you saw something in me. You realize that soccer.
He would threaten other players by, he would be like, man, if you don't fucking get a stop, I'm going to put Casillas in. And like, I remember one goalie just go, I don't want that to happen. And I just go, okay, first off.
this isn't right. This is not. This
like
isn't-
literally he would yell, he's like, you want me to put Casillas in? And they were like, no, sir. And I'm like,
My parents will kill me if that
so in a
happens.
way, I got us some wins. Because
Yeah.
people would be like, no one wants Casillas on the fucking field.
I will lose my job
Oh,
if
yeah.
I have to put Casillas in.
The worst-
You better work harder, boy.
The worst was that first day of like tryouts was they did a 6-on-6 match, shirts and skins, and I got put on skins. And if you're a fat boy, you don't want to get picked on skins. So I'd just be there like, can I go with the shirt, sir? And they're like, Casillas, take off your shirt. And I'm like, I would rather not. No one, come on. Just put me with shirts. And you're like, take the shirt off. And then you're running a little bit. They're jiggling and people are like, look, he's dancing for us. I'm like,
there you
no,
go.
I'm not. I don't like this.
So the greatest athletic achievement is that 289, right?
289, just, I think bowling, just, fuck, it was the one sport that
Yeah, man.
I was always
289 's
involved
pretty
with.
damn impressive.
I had
That's
like senior year, I had like a 225 average.
nice, dude.
So
So what is the most athletic thing you've done in the past 6 to 12 months?
fuck, dude, you can't do that during a global pandemic.
Hey, man, I got that's at first that was the question I was going to ask in the
You know
last
why he's
36
doing
months.
this? Because hey, Travis, you know why he's doing this? Is because the last fucking 6 months he's just been posting like videos of him and his friends running marathons. He's like, fucking, we're getting in shape.
We're
So he's
not
gonna
in
bring
shape,
on
though. No,
comics,
no.
knowing that most of us haven't got on shape, being like, hey man, do you want to see this shit? Look at this is what work looks like.
But we're not. I'm not in shape, so it's just a
You look a lot better than last year.
maybe
A little
we'll
bit.
See. We'll see.
You look better.
I think I might die, dude. This is terrible. It's a terrible.
You've been
thing.
working out. I think the most athletic thing I've done does bringing groceries up
Heck
three
yeah, it
flight of
does.
stairs
That's a lot of work.
twice a week.
Man. Yeah,
count?
you could easily just DoorDash that or order it, but no, you choose to walk all the
I just
way
don't.
down
I can't
there.
afford that extra $7.
got
If I had the resources, I would. Now I would say, fuck. That's not a good question to ask the number one fat comic in DFW. See, I'm already breathing into the mic. That's how. You hear that? That's how out of shape I am. I've just been here talking.
I saw you shot some guns the other day.
That's not working out. That's not work. What are you talking about? Me and this headliner, this was in Oklahoma City. Oklahoma City. We got stoned and he's like, you ever shoot guns before? And I was like, no, I have, let's go do it. And we got stoned and we're standing there and we're shooting. At one point he goes, man, my gun ain't working. And I'm like good around guns. So I'm like looking into the chamber, I was like, hey, that's weird. Just go ask the guy. So he goes to get the guy, and then I look, and I'm like, there's not even a clip in the chamber. So I just go, put it in. I go, it's fine.
Figured it out. Don't get the guy.
It's fine.
Don't get the
No, he's
guy.
already on his way to get the guy, so I'm just sitting there like, we got to make up a story. Because I can't tell this guy, like, he forgot to put the clip in the chamber.
Yeah.
So I literally go, yeah, man, there was a bullet jammed. And then I go, oh, shit happens. And the guy leaves, and I go, dude, you're so high right now. You literally said gun don't work without the clip in the chamber. And he goes, it happens. I'm like, I don't feel comfortable shooting with you right now.
Cool, man. Well, man, this has been a lot of fun.
This has been great.
Where can people find you at?
You
Plug everything that you're doing.
You can find me at comedian Tony Casillas on Instagram, comedian Tony C on Twitter. I do 2 podcasts called Tony Talks To. That's a one-on-one interview podcast. I'll have Mr. Michael Passfar on it soon. Then also I do another podcast with Shippy from The Fan. That's called I Love All These Things. And I'm doing I have shows coming up. You can always find that on my social media. But one show I would like to plug is we're doing a Halloween weekend. It is the 30th and 31st, I think. October 30th and 31st. It's a live taping at Hyenas Fort Worth in the main room. It's me, Lawrence Rosales, and last year's Funniest Comic in Texas winner, Ralph Barbosa. We're filming something that hopefully is going to help us be able to get on the road. So if you're free Halloween weekend, need a good laugh, buy one of those tickets because we want to fill that place up. Because without you guys, it's not fun.
Yes, please go to Hyenas. It's Fort Worth, right?
Yeah.
Hyenas Fort Worth. Check out Tony, Lawrence, and Ralph. All of them are amazing comics. Pack that place out. Go
Yep.
check out Tony online. Check out his podcast. It's a lot of fun. You can follow me on Instagram at HeHeMikeP. You can follow me on Facebook. I'm facebook.com/Michael Pasvar. And subscribe to the podcast. Rate us. See you guys next time. Thanks, guys.
Dude, that was a fucking blast.
Day back in the day.